Hello everyone, this is D. Aquilyn and welcome to Sacred Self-Love Sundays here in Inner Work Sessions group. I'm so grateful to present Sacred Self-Love Sundays to you. This one came by way of vote, so we voted for the month of October what we wanted to participate in, and Sacred Self-Love Sunday got the most votes. So with that, let me explain to you what Sacred Self-Love Sundays are. Basically, a few months ago, I think it was around winter, fall of last year, I got a divine download to go live on Sundays and to not have a script. So if you know me, if you followed my teaching for a long time, I usually write down and have notes and bullet points and all of this. And Spirit said, no, you're going to do this and you're going to talk from your heart and your mind. And so that's what I started doing. And so I actually kind of taken a break from it a little bit because family needs and things. But I do want to return. And so this is a great way to return. So for all of you who voted for Sacred Self-Love Sundays, thank you, because not only is this for you, but it's also for me because it's pushing me back to where I want to be. Talking again straight from the heart. Hi Beverly, you're beautiful too. Thank you so much. Talking straight from the heart. So this is a download. I guess I don't even want to really call it a download, an aha moment that I had a few days ago. And I was like, I have got to share this. So I was talking to someone who I'm friends with, and we had been in a relationship before. So we had a really good conversation. And after we finished the conversation, what we talked about was still on my mind and in my heart. And while I was thinking about that, the words insane relationship came to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, insane relationship. What does that mean exactly? And I already knew what it meant. So going to Einstein's definition of insanity, I think it's called Einstein insanity is what the official term is. But he says that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And I think that a lot of times that's what we do in relationships. We want to have different results in our relationship, but we still tolerate the same thing. We still give the same thing. We still are the same person. We're not changing. That person is not changing. And so we're wanting, different results, but we don't do anything to get the different results. And sometimes what we have to do to get the different results is we have to change. Not sometimes, all the time. We have to change. And that means in one of two ways, meaning that I change myself, one of three ways. I change myself, or, and become the person that I want to see reflected back to me, or that person changes, or number three, I just change the person that I'm in a relationship with to someone else. Here's the thing though, a lot of people do that. And what they do is they change the person that they're in a relationship with only to be in the same relationship. Not with the same person, but the same relationship, meaning the same issues that you're just with another person in. And so what it takes in order to move from an insane relationship to a sane relationship is, number one, I believe it's self-love. Because I truly believe that the relationships that we have with others is a reflection of the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so when we tend to put up with the same patterns and the same behavior over and over and over again, knowing in our hearts and in our minds that that's not the best for us, we're doing that to ourselves. And so that's why people come into our lives. People come into our lives to mirror back to us the way we treat ourselves, the way we love ourselves, the way we honor or dishonor ourselves, the way we respect or disrespect ourselves. They really are the mirrors for that. And so in order to move beyond an insane relationship, you really need to take a step back and look at your relationships and ask yourself, what about these relationships reflect how I love myself? Because how you love yourself is going to show up in so many different ways. If you're feeling like, you deserve punishment, then you'll attract people in your life who talk to you in a kind of way, who treat you in a kind of way. And you tolerate it because in your mind, you feel guilty for something, and guilt always seeks out punishment. And so you find yourself in a relationship where you're constantly bumping heads or constantly fighting or constantly arguing because in some ways you feel like you deserve that. But also in relationships, we tolerate things thinking that the other person will change, the other person will be the person that we want them to be. And here's the thing about that. We can't change a person. We can't change a person at all. No matter how much you want to cook and clean and give the best sex and, pray and all of that, only a person who's willing to be changed will be changed. And guess what? Not everybody's ready to be changed, or they're not ready in the time frame that you want them to be changed. So you have to really put yourself in a mindset that, maybe this person doesn't really want to change, or maybe this person doesn't know how to change. And sometimes it's not your job to do either, to change them or teach them how to change. And this is where we need discernment in relationships. We need divine guidance. We need God to really direct us and share with us and tell us what to do, whether we should strive in that relationship and really be the anchor for that person to change, or whether we should walk away and leave it to another person, to whatever, role the other person may have in that person's life. We have a class in Inner Work University, formerly known as Self-Love University, called Inner Healing in Relationships. And one of the things that we can do is we can actually use our relationships as a space and as I'm going to say as teachers and lessons for us to do some inner healing. And what I mean by that is exactly what I just talked about a few minutes ago. You're having people in your life who maybe they don't respect your time, they don't respect you. You have to go within and ask yourself, well, in what ways am I not respecting myself because I attracted a person in my life that does not respect me? And it could be simply, I just need to get rid of this person, get this person out of my life. Or it could be some deeper inner work that you have to do. Whenever you find yourself creating or living in the same patterns in relationships over and over and over again, my mother used to always say, if it's always you and somebody else, then chances are it's always you. Meaning that you're the common denominator. So you can be in a relationship with John, Jimmy, James, Luke, whoever else, you could be in a relationship and it could be the exact same relationship, the exact same issues, just with a different person. Because it's really not necessarily a relationship with the person, more so than it is the relationship with you. And so when we get into that insanity relationship where we are doing the same things over and over and over again and we're expecting different results, we have to take a moment and take time to do some deeper introspection and ask ourselves, what is it that I need to shift? What is it that I need to change in my life? Sometimes it could be that you really let go of a person, you can let go of a habit, you can let go of maybe the idea that you hold in your heart and in your mind about what a relationship is or what you think a relationship should be, that person cannot live up to. It's up to you to do that. No one else can do that for you. as we are really doing the inner work here in this group, there are so many videos that you can go back and watch. We had an amazing weekend workshop last week talking about tearing down your walls, tearing down the walls that you've built in your life. And you have the power to do that. You have the power to tear down the walls, but you also have the power to build your life. You have the power to create standards, create expectations. You have the power to dictate who you allow in your life. It's all about you. And I know that sounds selfish, but you have to be sometimes. When I say you have to be sometimes, what I mean is you have to really think about your personal sanity, your personal well-being. You have to think about your personal relationship with God, your personal relationship with, yourself, and even with the other people around you. That does not include the toxic relationship that you have. Because guess what? Those relationships are hold on, let's see. Those relationships, my niece is trying to those relationships around you, not they are affected by the toxic romantic relationship that you have. If you are in a toxic relationship, that means that you are being abused, being taken for granted, or whatever that the toxicity of that relationship encompasses. And guess what? That's spilling over in your relationship, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with your friends. It spills over in other relationships, whether we realize it or not. And so you have to really start saying to yourself, I have to choose me. I have to choose my sanity. I have to choose my relationship with myself. I have to choose my relationship with God. I have to choose my relationship with my family, my friends, over this insane relationship that I know is not going anywhere. It's not going to change. It's not going to improve. It's not going to be this dream relationship that I want it to be. And as you do that, what you'll find is you'll find yourself pulling away from the toxic, but also, so I'm getting a download. In order for you to pull away from the toxic, you have to do the inner work. That's where it begins. It begins by, and I always say this, the inner work, self-love, God, is all intermingled. It's all one, okay? I say this all the time, and I know I've said this in the group several times before, but what I've learned in my journey to self-love is my journey to self-love led me to God, but also led to my having a deeper relationship with God, but also my relationship with God also led me to having a deeper love for myself. And love for myself, I feel like I have very deep, unconditional love for myself at this point in my life. But there are some areas that I know I need to still work on. The other areas that I still know I need to heal. And by heal, I like to use it as an acronym. There are still some areas in my life where I still need to honor myself. There are still some areas where I need to empower myself. There are still some areas where I need to accept myself. There are still some areas where I need to love myself unconditionally. And I have to give myself grace to do that. But I cannot do that. You cannot do that. We cannot do that in relationships, insane relationships, where we know that nothing's going to change. We pretty much put ourselves in a settling mindset that I'm going to settle for this and that's it. Now, I'm not telling you not to be in relationships. I have wonderful people in my life, and I am opening up to a very special relationship in my life. However, what I'm saying is when you find yourself in the same toxic relationship over and over and over and over again, you need to really step away from that insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, because you're not going to get different results until you step back, until you say, hey, I need to do something different in this. That means letting go. That means going within. That means connecting with God. That means filling up that space that you feel that that person could, that person is feeling in your life, filling that space up with something that's more productive, than being in that insane relationship. And I want to say this too, because we have to understand that ultimately we are meant and made for companionship. We are truly meant and made for companionship. But are we now, I don't want to say mating. Are we, well, mating in the sense of British mates, friends, yes. But are we connecting with people who, we have mutual life-giving relationships? Because if it's not mutual life-giving relationships and you're constantly giving your all and not getting anything in return, and you're wanting something different, and you're saying to yourself, I deserve better than this, then that's an insane relationship that you have to get yourself out of. And in order for you to get yourself out of that, again, it's going to take the inner work. It's going to take the inner healing to say, what in my life has brought me to a place where I accept this behavior for myself? And if you really think about it, it's going to go deeper than what you realize. It's going to go really deeper than what you realize, but you have to be willing to go deep in order to heal. When you have surgeries, they cut you and you get cut deep. They cut skin and fat and tissue and muscles, and they cut deep in order to get to the core of the issue. And once they fix the core of the issue, then guess what? Those same layers that got cut open has to mend back together to heal. And it's the same thing with us, emotionally and spiritually and mentally. The more we do the work to heal our lives, it goes deep and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And what will happen is, if you are not willing to go deeper, if you are not willing to feel uncomfortable, if you are not willing to feel the hard part of it, then you really won't fully heal. I know y'all probably tired of me talking about my surgery story from a couple of years ago, but I always go back to that because that was one of the worst painful times, physically painful and emotionally painful times in my life. And I really went through that afraid, apprehensive, worried, all of those feelings. I was just had all of these feelings going on. Not only that, but after the fact, because I had to do all of this physical healing, physical therapy, and all of that, and then had to have another kind of surgery because of the side effects of the medicine from the first surgery. So it was a lot. And when I say it was a lot, I mean, it was so much so to where I went into a dark place for about 3 or 4 months, where I was just like, I couldn't deal anymore. It's like, the trauma of everything that happened was so present in my life, and I had to deal with that. But I said that to say that when it comes to real inner healing, you're going to have to deal with the hard parts. You're going to have to deal with the hard parts. But here's the thing about that. If you're willing to deal with the hard parts, know this: you are not dealing with it alone. You have God. That's why we have groups like this. This is support for you. Also, I offer coaching, but there are many people who offer coaching. So you don't have to go through it alone. But the benefits on the other side is, I want to say euphoric. You know, it's like you finally get to a space. I was looking at one of my cousins recently. It's actually two people in my life who I've been looking at their lives and seeing so much joy and so much peace that I had never seen on their lives before. Not that they weren't good people. They've always been good people, but they've evolved, and that's my word for it now, is they've evolved into people that if you look at them, you wouldn't even be able to tell what they've been through. And I'm talking about they've been through some stuff, you know, really been through some stuff. When you really get to a space where you're willing to heal, where you're willing to let go, where you're willing to change, where you're willing to finally say, you know what, I choose me. I honor myself. And in doing that, that means that I may have to let go of this toxic relationship. In doing that, that means that situations and conditions and people and, you know, all the things around me may change, but I'm okay with that, because in the end, I know that I will be better off even in the being uncomfortable in the healing process, being uncomfortable in the spaces where I'm doing the inner work, and I know that I have to face some decisions I've made. I have to face, you know, maybe what Big Mama said to me, or what my daddy said to me, or what my mama did to me, or whatever, facing all of the issues in order to heal. But at the end of that, when you evolve to the person that you are here to be, then you're going to find yourself in new relationships, in better relationships, in loving relationships, relationships that reflect the evolved you. But you have to be willing to let it go. You have to be willing to, number one, see the conditions and the situations for what they are. Like, I literally can see this person in the reflection that they are in my life. So you're seeing that. And this is showing me where I'm not honoring myself, where I'm not empowering myself, where I'm not accepting myself, where I'm not loving myself. So what am I going to do about it? Am I going to continue with the insanity and allow this thing to happen, knowing that I want better and I need better and I deserve better? Or am I going to shift and change myself in order to shift and change the type of people that I attract, the type of relationships that I have, the way money flows in and out of my life? Because relationships can be your relationship with a person. It could be your relationship with money. It could be your relationship with your physical things that you have. I have a relationship with my corner here. Like, this corner is my space where I decompress, where I connect with God, where I sit here and I read and I say my affirmations and all of that. I have a relationship with this space. So your relationships, not just insane relationships with a person or people and yourself, but also with conditions and things and the people around you. How are your relationships? What condition are your relationships in? And if you look at your relationships and you are happy and you are proud and you are excited about your relationships, I applaud you. Because it takes a lot of work to get to where you are. But if you're not happy, if you are uncomfortable talking about certain relationships, then that's an indication that you have to do some inner work to heal. And one of my pastors used to always say this: when I change, everything changes. When I change, everything changes. Which means this: when you change, everything around you changes. And I'm seeing that with my cousin and my friend. Like, I'm seeing it even in my own life, because I have become a completely different person. and am still becoming a completely different person. I'm actually in my own evolution. I actually was sharing with my cousin and a few other ladies in our, we have a Bible study every 2 weeks, and I was sharing with them in our last one that we have got to get from a space of, and this is where my teaching is going now, getting from a space of always, working, I'm healing this, I'm healing that, I'm healing this, I'm healing that, I'm healing this, I'm healing that. Yes, healing is important. Yes, healing is important. We're always going to have something in our lives where we're having to work through and do the inner work and the introspection and the to heal through. But we have to get out of the mindset of constantly healing through something to now I'm evolving to. Listen to what I say, healing through, which means I'm still in the process. I'm still feeling the pain. I'm still feeling, the mental aspects and all of that, to evolving to. So now I'm done with all of that. I'm out of that, the through. Now I'm trying to make my way to. And in order for you to get to, you're going to have to allow yourself to be you, to choose you. And that's one of the things that I can say when I look at my cousin and I look at my friend and even, me in some aspects where I've seen them make some decisions. And some of those decisions didn't feel good, didn't look good to everybody on the outside, but they made the right decision for themselves. And that caused them to evolve into the people that they are now. And I'm waiting. My cousin is married, so I already know that she has a beautiful family, beautiful husband, and all of that. And I've seen even her family elements evolve. But when it comes to my friend, I'm waiting for the day for her to say, I've met the love of my life. I've met this person, because I feel like, and let me say this, because it's not all about that. Your evolution is not just about meeting somebody and being in a relationship, but for her, I know her heart's desire. And I am waiting for the day for her to call and say, I think I met the one, and it be the one, as opposed to being those insane relationships that I've seen her in, and I've been in them too. So this is not me passing judgment, and she wouldn't mind me sharing. But I'm just saying that, when we get to a space in our lives where we can identify where we are, we can identify the insanity, choosing to see it and be real about it, and be real about ourselves, be real about what we are expecting, be real about what we are experiencing, and making a change, making a shift, then that's when the insanity starts to dissipate. That's when it starts to go away. And so if you are in an insane relationship, again, it could be romantic, it could be any kind of relationship where you are doing the same thing, but you're expecting different results, then I want to encourage you to take a step back and look at that relationship for what it is. And ask yourself, what about this relationship is a reflection to me? What is it reflecting back to me in the way that I am with myself? And then make the changes. Make the changes. I just said this about my cousin and about my friend, is that they made a decision. The root word of decision is decide. The Latin root word meaning for decide literally means to cut. To cut. When you make a choice, that means that I have these other options. But when you make a decision, I have no other option. This is it for me. And that's what we have to do. We have to make some decisions. And those decisions won't feel good. It won't feel good to cut a person off. It won't feel good to say, hey, I have to set new standards and new boundaries for myself. We talked about that last Saturday. setting standards. Instead of building up walls, we need to set standards. It won't feel good to do that because we're connected to the people that we have these insane relationships with. Like, they mean a lot to us. We become acclimated to their ways of being, doing, and having. I didn't know that I was in an abusive marriage until it was over because I kept saying, that's just the way he is. Yeah, that's just the way he is. But I don't have to accept that. I don't have to live in that. And so, yes, it does not feel good to cut things and to cut people. But it's always beneficial. It's always beneficial. No one just signs up for surgery and say, hey, I want you to cut me open and just because I want to be cut open. No, usually when you have surgery, it's a cut to fix something. And that cut doesn't feel good, which is why you have to have anesthesia. Yeah, you have to be put to sleep. You have to have something to help aid you in that process. And you have something to aid you in the process. You have God. You have someone. That's God. You have support. That's this group. You have classes. That's this group. And other ways and other people around you. You have the support. You have what you need. You just have to make the decision to be cut. Make the decision to cut. And once you make the decision, then what's going to happen is there's going to be an uncomfortable period. That uncomfortable period is the period where I've been cut. I've cut this thing off and now I'm mending. We think that the uncomfortable period is pain. It's really not pain. And that's one of the biggest lessons I also learned in my surgery a couple of years ago was that what I thought was pain was what I was told was pain was really my body mending itself. And that's what sometimes what we do in our emotions. What we think is pain is really just our souls mending itself. We have so many soul tears. That's also a part of that class in Self-Love University. Healing through your relationships. Relationships and inner healing is what it's called. But I talk about soul tears and how I'm gonna give you the example that I gave in the class, and then I'm going to end this. But like, this is your soul, and just representation of your soul. And what happens is when we go through any type of trauma, any type of breakup, any type of hard situation, it creates our soul is pure. It is untainted. We come here with pure souls. We come here pure, untainted. But issues happen. Somebody may abuse you. Somebody may say something to you. Somebody may break your heart. And then there's a piece that's really torn apart. There are just situations and conditions and situations and more conditions and more situations that leaves our souls torn. This does not feel good. Mending this and putting this back together, if I had some tape, it doesn't feel good. It takes time. You have to make sure that you line everything right. And then you have to lay it down on something, and then you're going to have to make sure that you measure the tape the right way. Or if you're going to glue it together, imagine a pot being broken. If you're going to glue it together, you got to make sure that the pieces match together. It's hard to mend a broken heart. That's SpongeBob SquarePants. I'll never forget a few years ago, my niece, when she was younger, she was watching SpongeBob SquarePants, and he said that in the show, he said it's hard mending a broken heart. And I'll never forget that, because it's the truth. Mending is hard, but it's so necessary. But we have to be willing to let go of the things and the people and the conditions that did this to us. Yeah, I have to be willing to let go. And if you are willing to let go, if you are willing to be made whole again, then you're going to have to let go of those insane relationships. And if I can be honest, the real insane relationship is not necessarily with the people or the condition or the situation. The real insane relationship is within, is with yourself. Because you're wanting the outside to change, but you're still doing the same thing on the inside. You're still tolerating the same thing. You're still saying the same thing. You're still accepting the same thing. And that's where real change begins. So with that, I hope that you benefited from today's Sacred Self-Love Sundays. Share. I don't call it a teaching at all, but I hope that you benefited from what I shared today. Just know that I'm here for you. If you have any questions about anything I said, please post it below this video. Also, if you're needing a one-on-one coaching session, feel free to reach out to me. I will be more than happy to do that. But more than anything, if I'm not your coach, I can maybe lead you to someone. I want to help you to get the help that you want and you need for your life. This group actually has a plethora of videos that you can go back and watch. But I also have an online portal library, Inner Work University, where there are over 200 video classes and over, I think, 15 audios. Where you can go in and you can do the inner work. Some of the classes have downloads similar to what we had last week for our weekend workshop. Some of the classes have downloads. So if I have resources for you to help you in this process, pardon me, I'll be more than happy to share my resources with you. Just reach out to me, go on my website. There are ways that you can connect, but stay connected to this group, because this is where I actually share the most, believe it or not. So stay connected with this group. I want you to know this, that you are amazing, you are beautiful, you are loved, you are supported. And as A Course in Miracles says, you are the work of God. God's work is wholly loving and wholly lovable. With that, I send love, light, peace, and blessings to you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.